Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our Israel Wake Up. This is our evening Sabbath class on the 6th of March, 2021. Before we get started, I was want to convey some information to you. Like, share, subscribe, and to get a chance, click the notification button for our class today. This evening, we're going to be dealing with Israelites' connection to Africa. You know, it seems like from powers that we want to make you think there's no connection between the Israelite and the continent of Africa, but we beg to differ. And we're going to go back into that like we did this morning on this morning Sabbath class. But right now, we're going to go into our moment of silence, and the silence is in reference to Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing in the earth, and Creator bringing about our deliverance and the promise that He made to Israel, that He would regather them and bring them back to their land of their nativity. And so we're going to do that, and then we're going to do our Sabbath prayer, and then go into read the Psalms and go into current events. Okay. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto Thee. Therefore we come before Thee at the end of this Sabbath day, seeking Thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before Thee as Thy servant David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before Thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For You possess the power to turn us, O Lord. For we desire to walk after Thee, O Lord, and to keep Your commandments and Your testimony and Your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by Your prophets. O Lord, allow Thy face to shine upon Thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord. Hide not Thy face from us, for we need You so very much at this hour. Peace be unto You. Okay. What's up with you?
Shalom, shalom.
Okay. So where you been, in the Sahara Desert?
No, I've been on the computer.
Oh, okay.
Love you guys.
Okay. Oh, all right. So we're gonna read a song right now, and then we go into our current events. Okay. Yes, Samantha like that little bottle.
Thank you. I'm glad. What about little man? Did he like his cup?
No, I confiscated that. He wanted a warm up. Okay. I'm gonna read Psalm 96. It says, this is a call to praise God. Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord all the earth. Sing unto the Lord, bless His name. Show forth His salvation for day to day. Declare His glory among the heathen, His wonders among people. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before Him. Strength and beauty are in His sanctuary. Give unto the Lord, O ye kindred of people. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto His name. Bring an offering and come into His courts. O worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Fear before Him all the earth. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people rightly. Let the heavens rejoice, and let the earth be glad. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof. Let the field be joyful, and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the woods rejoice before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness, and the people with his truth. So that was Psalms 96, and the title was A Call to Praise God. Okay.
Hallelujah.
And then some.
Hallelujah.
So we anybody got anything they want to bring up on current events? What's up, Lamar?
Shalom, shalom. Yeah, there's been a little. I may be late on this, but there was a little thing about Kamala Harris having a line of makeup or skincare cream, and the people were saying that uh, she's benefiting and promoting her skincare line, from being vice president, that she should step away from that uh, during the time that she's serving as vice president. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
I guess so.
just some controversy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel like it might, if that's her personal thing that she had going on before she became vice president, then I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she just if she finds somebody to manage it while she the vice president. Yeah, that's what Trump did. That's what
Yeah.
Cheney Cheney did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. As long as she gets, she stepped down as her role in it, and get somebody else to take her role until she served her country.
Right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I look at it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So anybody else got anything?
I have a couple of things. I don't know if you guys know that they're talking about April the 1st opening back up all the theme parks and arenas in California
Oh,
on yeah, April the 1st.
wait
Mm-hmm.
for the prayers, huh?
I heard
Okay.
about that.
Yes, yes. And hopefully we get that check this month. That's what Biden said. So hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
it's finally gonna happen.
Okay.
Yes, and did you guys hear about the first space hotel that they're going to be opening up in 2027?
Oh
Nah.
my goodness.
Well, that
Yeah,
where it's gonna
yeah.
be?
They did not say yet. I forgot it was called Voyage something. I can't remember the name, but yeah, they were saying in 2027 that the world's first space hotel is scheduled to open.
Okay.
Mm.
Is that
Yeah,
something?
Wow.
Voyager Station. Yes,
Okay. This song.
yes. Isn't
This
that
song like
something?
this song like that one guy. What his name? The billionaire or millionaire? No, billionaire. Uh, can't think of that
Warren
guy.
Buffett.
Nah, the one under him.
Uh,
He always dealing with space technology and stuff. Uh,
Mm,
can't think of his name.
okay.
It ain't Darcy. It's the other one.
Mm.
mm,
Blonde
Think
head
of
dude.
it.
Can't think his name. Blonde head guy.
mm.
Okay.
They said that the construction is going to be done by a former pilot named John Bencow, Bincow.
Okay.
Yeah, and they said he heads up the Gateway Foundation also.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, that's just odd to me, but yes.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna
Right.
play.
Also, Michelle, you done?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just kind of piggybacking on what Michelle was saying. I was just remembering. You know how Texas was shut down, and the most cases apart from New York was Texas, but they have opened Texas back up full blown,
Okay.
Yes,
and
they
that's
have.
crazy. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that doesn't seem right.
We have Mississippi too, and Connecticut,
But
and
okay,
Mississippi and Connecticut jumped on it since he done it. What he worrying about is spring break. He looking at all the money
right.
he's losing on spring break. But like I said, when you look at this list they said in that COVID-19 gonna get introduced. COVID-21 gonna get introduced in March. So we can see them. They get lining up for it, and
What you
Mm,
mean
they
COVID
already
21?
on this list we got on here for the year 2021, New World Order
What
plans.
is COVID-21? What do you mean by
That's
COVID-21?
the first pandemic came in 19. That's why it's called COVID-19. Now they got
Okay.
a variant out there, and it came in 2021.
Okay.
That's why
Okay.
it's COVID-21. Yeah, and they already setting up for it already.
Okay.
Mm.
That's what this all about. Like the guy was saying, it's all political because like he said, it makes no sense. Why would he want to open up Texas? You still
Exactly.
you got a pandemic,
Right.
and then you just suffered a whole uh, disaster with the storm.
Right.
Now you're trying to open it up. So you the last person need to be trying to open. Yeah.
Right.
So it's
Right.
political. It's all political. Yeah. So
When
here we go. Right here, I got a uh, this got to do with the COVID, the stimulus package they just passed. Let me hit it. Yeah, it says live stimulus updates. Biden praises Senate and passes a $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan as giant steps forward. Says Georgia Senator Joan Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, two Democrats elected in January 5th runoff, is in what was once considered a Republican stronghold, held a press conference hours after the Senate narrowly approved $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief package in a 50-49 vote that fell along party lines. So what's happening, if you want to understand that, is Kamala Harris was the deciding factor because it's 49-49. Then Kamala Harris, the vice president, cast her vote. So it's a big old thing going on about that because you got some Republicans, some Democrats saying that it ain't right because they not they don't need the bipartisan effort to pass anything now because all they got to do, everything come up, it's gonna come out 40-40, and all they have to do is bring Kamala Harris on the scene and pass it, which is crazy. After all the Republicans have done to them for the last, even during Biden time, now that the Democrats got an edge, you telling them they can't use the edge that they have? That's crazy. So it says this is the most significant economic relief package for working and middle class families in American history. Ossoff told reporters after the vote, "We will crush COVID-19, recover economically, safely reopen our schools, and get our daily lives back. And we'll do it thanks to Georgia voters." Shit, last time I checked, Georgia voters wasn't greater than the Lord of Hosts. President,
yes.
you
Right.
know what I'm saying? How you gonna make that statement? You're in the midst of a judge.
Mhm.
President Joe Biden praised the Senate passing of his $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief plan on Saturday, calling it one more giant step forward on the promises he made on the campaign trail to send aid to millions of Americans suffering from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Today I can say we have taken one more giant step forward in delivering on the promised help. Promised help is on the way, he said to his he said of his packet that includes $1,400 relief checks, an extension to federal unemployment benefits, and billions of dollars for vaccine development and distribution. The bottom line is this: the plan puts us on a path to beating this virus, he said. So you want to check out the rest of it, you can just uh, Google that uh, live stimulus package update. Okay. Anybody got any comments? Okay. Let me get over here. Okay. Okay. Let me see what else I got. Okay. I'm gonna play this right here. I don't know if anybody's seen this yet, but we're getting all these signs. We got gold mountain appeared over there in Congo last midweek. And now we got this right here. So if you ain't getting it, you ain't getting the memo, something wrong with you. Here we go right here. Get ready. Tie your shoes up. Here we go.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm so pleased to be a contributor here at the amazing African Diaspora News Channel. As you come in, please make sure that you like, that you share, and that you subscribe. Thank you so very much. Family, we have a very, very interesting war briefing today. You all understand that in the wake of Donald Trump in particular, and this has been many decades, actually, many presidential administrations, but specifically and most prominently, Donald Trump's base, we know, has been the evangelicals. We know that Donald Trump has been the most corrupt. He's never met a wife he hasn't cheated on. We know that nearly a dozen women he's paid to have abortions, and the evangelicals claim they support him because he's quote unquote pro-life. They don't care that he's racist and corrupt and all that, right? They turn around and say, that's a man of God. That's a man of God. All of those are traits from a man of God. Y'all heard numerous evangelicals lying, prophesying about Donald Trump was going to win the election. I need you to listen to this particular evangelical, what he's saying about you.
Now, let me say something right quick. I think back on the African-American people in America. I think how that they were taken against their wills, put in the belly of ships, brought over here, beat, cussed. Many of them died in the guts of those ships, thrown overboard. They were pulled from families over there. You ain't never heard a gut-wrenching song do you hear a black person sing one of those old black Negro spirituals. Nobody knows. I can't sing it like that, see, because I hadn't experienced what they do. When you've experienced hell, it comes out of the voice. I said, when you experience hell, it comes out of the voice. If you're one of those people that you got a problem with black people or whatever, you better shut your mouth, because they're God's people. You better hear what I'm saying to you. You better shut your white mouth. You better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you. I know some of you was raised in the deep South, and you was raised by prejudiced people and bigoted people. You better get that out of your system. You better get it out of your system. It'll cause you to suffer right along with those masters. It'll cause you to suffer right along with them. These are God's people. And I know that there's wicked in white races and wicked in black races and all that. I'm not justifying none of that stuff. I'm just saying God knows what happened to the black race. He knows how they wound up over here. And God is going to reimburse the black people for all their trouble and all their labor. You watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Why is he talking different from all of those evangelicals that's on TBN, all of those evangelicals that are on Daystar and CBN and these other so-called Christian networks and channels and platforms? Why is this particular mega pastor talking like he's got some sense? Think about it for a second. What a lot of folk don't understand is that the scriptures are not just some religious text. Even though there have been issues with the misrepresentation, the misinterpretation, and yes, even some tampering by our open enemy and members of the dominant society with the book, there are still some treasures that are coded. It's not all obvious. Some of the stuff in scripture where they told you that the devil was some inanimate spirit or object, they didn't tell you that there's an actual people, members of a dominant society, that fits the description of John chapter 8, where it says the devil is styled as the opposer, is a liar. John chapter 10, when it talks about a particular thief that steals, kills, and destroys. If you're looking at just those 4 traits from John chapter 8 and those 3 traits from John chapter 10, you need to ask yourself what group, what people fits the description of individuals that lie, steal, kill, and destroy. Not only that, our great ancestor now, the great Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who wrote the book, The ISIS Papers, The Keys to the Colors. What did she try to tell us as a physician, as a professional psychiatrist, as a heavyweight scholar, not only with her scholastic knowledge in academia and letters from traditional schools, but through her experience having practiced this and her clients, she told us that folk who classify themselves as white, their concern would be the fear of genetic annihilation. I bring this up because in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, it says that the opposer, the one that's styled as devil, not calling him that name, but styled as devil, they are concerned, they know that their time is short, Revelation 12:12. They know that their time is short. They've come to the earth to make havoc, full of fury, because they know that their time is short. Some of you don't understand. Joe Biden tried to tell you that that's what they worried about. What do you mean? How many of you all remember that leaked video that came out after it was confirmed that Joe Biden would be the next president? Remember, he started to ignore all the old, dead black media, the dead former civil rights leaders like Reverend Al Sharpton and them, NAACP, certain NAACP people, certain Urban League folk like that. They forced Joe Biden to have a meeting with them by embarrassing him in the media, telling the media that he's not returning their calls, he's not talking to them, he's not counseling them. Remember when that video was leaked? When the video was leaked of their so-called private meeting, what did Joe Biden say to those so-called legacy civil rights leaders? Ask yourself, why did he say this? Joe Biden said we're doomed because he said soon there's going to be minority European control. He told Reverend Al Sharpton and them, you guys are going to have to start working with the Latinos. He said, because even the Latinos numbers are going to be greater than y'all's. How many of y'all remember that video that came out a few weeks ago? Why would Joe Biden be worried that he and his people, their numbers, soon they're going to be the minority? Y'all love to say we all citizens. If we're all citizens, what concern and what fear are you justified in having? Because soon there's going to be a European minority in America. It's written. And so here you have one of the few white evangelicals telling other white people, racist in his church, to shut their mouths. I didn't say it, he told them that. Told them that God is going to give us back what we deserve. Somebody say reparations. And he had an urgency in telling them to shut their mouths, an urgency telling them, those that don't have, that have a problem with black folks, they better basically get over it. Why is he saying that? But you that guys don't understand. It's written in Exodus chapter 1 when it talks about the children of Israel and how they put them to hard labor. It says, though, that the more they afflicted them, the more they oppressed them. Hello, America that allows us to be poisoned by water. Hello, America that flooded our communities with heroin, crack, cocaine, and other drugs. Hello, America that instituted laws to destroy our families, to separate our families, to incarcerate us for generations to come. Hello, America that's responsible for chattel slavery. Hello, America that's responsible for black codes. Hello, America that's responsible for convict leasing. Hello, America that's responsible for the injustices of sharecropping. Hello, America that's responsible for Jim Crow. Hello, America that's responsible for the new Jim Crow. Hello, America that's responsible for gentrification, regentrification, redlining, gerrymandering. The more they afflicted. That's what's written in Exodus chapter 1. It says the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. I believe that this particular white evangelical understands that while they're shooting us in the back of the head, while they're poisoning us, murdering us, destroying us, separating us, incarcerating us, it's ultimately not going to work. It's going to backfire because it's written. When I tell you, and I tell you all this all the time, as a Black family, we're in our finest hours. Some of you wonder, how could that be true when we're going through so much pain? How many of you all know I say this all the time? I'm going to keep saying it. That when a woman is in labor,
Come on.
there's bloodshed. When a woman is in labor,
Come on.
there's discomfort. When a woman is in labor, there's stretch marks, there's screaming, there's moaning. When a woman is in labor, she literally goes through death to give life. I've told you this many times, that our pain is labor pains.
Okay, let me stop that right there. We got to deal with that. Yeah, we keep on, like I said, they got everything displaced about who this woman is. They got the woman in the wrong place. Let me read this right quick. You got to understand that Zion, Israel, the Most High, the Lord of hosts, married to Israel. Both of them can't be men. One of them got to be a woman. So let's look at this. Come on now. I'm going to read this. I done read this 1,000 times, but it's perfect time to read it. It says, I'm in Isaiah 66. It says, hear ye the word of the Lord, ye that tremble at his word, your brethren that hated you, that cast you out for my name's sake, said, let the Lord be glorified. This the husband, but he shall appear to your joy, and they shall be ashamed. A voice of noise from the city, a voice from the temple, a voice of the Lord that renders recompense to his enemies. Before she, this the woman right here, this is wife, before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pains came, she was delivered of a man child. Who have heard such a thing, who have seen such a thing, shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day, or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion, this is wife, travail, she brought forth her children. Shall I bring the birth and not cause to bring forth, said the Lord? Shall I cause to bring forth and shut the womb, said the Lord? Rejoice, ye with the Jerusalem. Be ye glad with her, all ye that love her. Rejoice for joy with her, all ye that mourn for her, that ye may suck and be satisfied with the breast of her consolation, that ye may milk out and be delighted with the abundance of her glory. For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will extend peace unto her. Let me read that again. For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will extend peace unto her like a river, and the glory of the Gentiles like a flowing stream. Then shall ye suck. Ye shall be borne upon her side and be dangled upon her knees. As one whom his mother comforted, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones, Ezekiel 37, shall flourish like a herb, and the hand of the Lord shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation toward his enemies. For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind to wind his anger with his fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine flesh, and the abomination of the mouth shall be consumed together, says the Lord. Okay? This is what she's talking about right here. This is what we're going through. This is what we're witnessing. Birth pains. Come on now.
We're getting ready to birth a new nation based on freedom, justice, and divine equity.
Come on.
And the powers that shouldn't be will be no more, because it's written that we'll be the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath. Not because we're getting ready to take over and do something crazy, but because it's written in the actual universe. People, places, and things will adjust to make it so.
Right.
Because we
dealing with an invasive species. Everything working together to get rid of.
Are unique and a very special people. Thank you so much for tuning in today's Word Briefing. Follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard, VICKI, Vicki X Dillard. Follow me on Twitter at Dillard Vicki. Make sure you join my club, Vicki.com. Join my club.
Okay. I'm thinking you might want to check that out. Vicki Dillard. Okay, so with that being said, any comments?
I'm trying not to move my phone so much because it's making, I think it's staticky. But what was the last thing she said? The when she talked about the earth,
birth pains.
Earth pains.
Birth pains. The earth is travailing to bring back, bring back our children.
And were you saying that she is on point with saying that, or?
Oh yeah, she's exactly right. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with birth pains. All this stuff that we see happening is birth pains. Most High is returning to his to bring back his bride, his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the wife is Zion, and the children is Israel.
Right.
And bringing them back. So birthing a nation, rebirthing a nation. So you're looking at birth pains.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Any more comments?
Well, she also said that the universe will adjust to make it so.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's an invasive species. That's where when you understand when you understand who Japhet is, it kills the New Testament, because the only way to bring the New Testament and make it legitimate is we all had to come from the same place, with one blood. All of us came from the same place. All of us got red blood. All of us came from the same place. But we know that's a lie, because the Most High said itself right here in Genesis chapter 6. I read it this morning. Genesis chapter 6, he says, dealing with the fallen angels and what they done. It says, chapter 6 of Genesis, verse 1, came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, daughters were born unto them. That the sons of God, these angels, fallen angels, saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit, see that? The spirit he breathed in Adam. My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he also is for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So we see right here, it's another spirit that came on earth right here. These giants, when they start speaking with these women, these giants didn't come from the Most High. So they got different origin. Cain didn't come from the Most High. He came from Lucifer. So that's a lie from the pits of hell. Ain't no one blood. Ain't no need for nobody to come, because everybody ain't got the same origin. According to the narrative that they didn't set, this human Messiah, Christ, came, and his blood was what had to be shed, because it's the same blood from all humans. Umbilical cord to umbilical cord. That's why he had to shed his blood. But they ain't nothing but a booby trap, because we see that's a lie from the pits of hell right here in Genesis chapter 6. Ain't working. So, like I said, that's played out. To all the any Israelites that's awakened and they in the right place, they can see that. You know, they can see that that ain't working. So you gotta do something else. So anyway, anybody else? Okay, so based on that right there, what I was like I say, we see all this stuff happening. The mountains, the whole mountain to turn into gold. We see this guy right here, this pastor, and this pastor his last name is Kirkpatrick, and he's from Alabama. Imagine that. He's from Alabama. And he got a mega pastor, mega congregation, and he telling all them folks in Alabama they better shut their mouths about the black folks. Come on, ain't nothing but Yahweh.
Right.
Lord. Okay, so right here, this is something dealing with Africa. Like I said, I try to keep everybody informed what's going on in Africa. So we're gonna look at this. Okay.
This is one of the most populous cities in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
More than 4 million people live here.
So like I was saying before, notice what they just showed you. This city they talk about is Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And like I said, they narrowed down the flight to get from Atlanta, Georgia to Addis Ababa, 10 hours. Okay. So all this stuff ain't just happening just to be happening.
Among them, 8-year-old Ida, a coding wizard. Emabet Tesfaye, the manager of a big flower farm. And Asifa Mengesha, a pioneer in Ethiopia's solar power industry. All three illustrate how Africa's fortunes might change in the coming decades. The continent faces many challenges, including the recent spread of COVID-19, but in the long term, there is reason to be optimistic. By the end of this century, Africa is set to play a much bigger role in world affairs. The Asian growth miracle is likely to slow. Africa's rapid rise could be next.
Some 8 million natives, whom the whites still look upon, in the words of Rudyard Kipling, as the new caught sullen peoples, half devil and half child.
Hi, it's Sam Barker here from the Motley.
For hundreds of years, Africa was dismissed by much of the rest of the world. Today, Africa is too big to ignore. Its population is growing faster than any other continent. The UN predicts that by 2100, 1 human being in 3 will be African. Doomsayers worry about overpopulation. They fear that the number of mouths will grow faster than the food supply and people will starve. But the UN's population predictions may be wrong. If Africa continues to grow at the expected rate, its population will almost double by 2050 to 2.5 billion people. But in the second half of the century, forecasts diverge depending on different rates of fertility. The median rate, which the UN expects, implies the population would almost double again by 2100. That forecast is based on the belief that the number of children each woman has will decline only slowly, but that underestimates the impact of education on girls like Ida.
My name is Ida. I'm 8.5 years old. My birthday is coming. I live in Ethiopia.
At school, Ida is an A-star student. She loves learning. and so did many other girls in Ethiopia. Primary school enrollment rates for girls increased from around 34% in 2000 to 81% in 2015.
Yeah.
Education has a strong influence on fertility rates. A woman with no formal education will have 6 or more children. This falls to 4 if she finished primary school, and to about 2 if she finished secondary school.
I want to go like this. First, I'm in KG, prep, and then I go to grade 1 after 12, and then I go to high school, and then I go to college, and then I go to university.
According to one study, if the rate of social development, in particular the education of girls, doesn't change, the population of Africa will be as high as the UN predicts. But look what happens to the population size if there's even a median improvement in development. And if there is a rapid rise, towards the end of the century, the population would decline, which means the more girls are educated, the lower Africa's population is likely to be.
I'm telling you that girls could do anything they want. Everyone in Ethiopia knows that girls could do whatever boys could do. Which way is our car? There.
Both Ida's grandmother and mother were well educated and have had successful careers. Educated women are more likely to enter the workforce. Despite being half of Africa's population, women generated just 33% of the continent's collective GDP in 2018. If women enter the workforce at the same rate as men, Africa could add 10% to its GDP over the next 5 years.
Every game, she holds our shoulders and kicks at us.
And it's not just what girls like Ida learn in school that will affect Africa's economic future, but what they learn outside school. Ida is learning to code.
So how many sides? 6. Okay, so my brother wanted to code at first. We told our mom, can we go to coding school? And then she said, okay, I'll sign it up. When we grow up, we could be wonderful coders. We can teach more people to code.
ግን ስሜ ቤተልሔም ደሴ ይባላል። የአይኮክ ኤኒዋን ካን ኮድ እናንተ የምትማሩበት ፕሮጀክት ማናጀር ነኝ።
Most African countries were autocracies. 30 years later, most have become substantially more democratic. In 2018, Abiy Ahmed became Prime Minister of Ethiopia. He promised democracy and peace.
ከኤርትራ መንግስት ጋር ለዓመታት ሰፍኖ የቆየው አለመግባባት እንዲያበቃም እንፈልጋለን።
His work won him the Nobel Peace Prize. Yet, while all this points to a more open Ethiopia, the country could still be torn apart by ethnic uprisings. You can read more about this by clicking on the eye. Ethiopia is one of many countries in Africa that are making encouraging progress. In the short term, the continent may be severely damaged by COVID-19, but in the long term, there are good reasons to be optimistic. More girls are going to school, economies are growing, and countries are adapting to climate change. But to match China's economic success, Africa can't just copy China. It needs more competent and accountable governments that provide basic services, uphold the rule of law, and educate their growing populations. If it does, the next century could yet be Africa's century.
Okay, so the missing element to that is the African American. That's why we're going there. What she just said. Got out, everything in Africa is growing, and it's missing the element. And the element they're missing is the skill level of the African Americans. So this all bankers behind all this. You gotta understand that, but they're not understand. They're working right along with the Most High want done. Birth pains. Any comments? Any comments? Okay, since you got no comments, we're gonna go into the lesson. We was dealing with this morning. We was dealing with the fact that it's, they've brainwashed us on the fact that it's a disconnect between the Israelites and the continent of Africa. But like I said, I beg to differ, and so we're gonna pick that up with exposing that and showing that the Israelite got all kind of connection with Africa. So we're gonna go into that. Okay.
Book of Joshua. And let's go to chapter 10. Because we keep telling you there's a difference between Israel, say Israel, and Israeli. There is a difference. Okay. When we got Joshua chapter 10, let's start at verse 1. Now it came to what? We don't have it yet? Okay. Old Testament. Right after Deuteronomy. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua. Chapter 10. Verse 1. Now it came to pass when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, had heard how Joshua had taken Ai. Now this individual, Adonizedek, was ruling what city? Jerusalem. This is not the Israelites. You'll see in a minute. Had utterly destroyed it as he had done to Jericho and her king, so he had done to Ai and her king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were among them, that they feared greatly, because Gibeon was a great city, as one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all the men thereof were mighty. Wherefore Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, sent unto Hoham, king of Hebron, that's 2 kings, and Piram, king of Jarmuth, that's 3 kings, and Jaffa, king of Lachish, 4 kings, and Debir, king of Edron, 5 kings. Come up unto me, and help me, that we may smite Gibeon, for it has made peace with Joshua and with the children of Israel. Therefore the 5, anybody have it, verse 5? Please read it with me if you have verse 5. Therefore the what? Of the king of, so the king in Jerusalem, what was his nationality? Amorite. Amorite, according to Genesis chapter 11 and 10, Genesis 10 tells us Amorite was the firstborn of Canaan. Fourthborn of Canaan. So these were Canaanites, which according to King James Zondervan, let me turn to that real quick and pass that around. This is very important. Genesis chapter 9, verse 25, cursed be Canaan. Their commentary, cursed be Canaan. Some maintain that Ham's son was to be punished because of his father's sin. But Exodus 20 restricts such punishments to them that hate me. It probably better to hold that Canaan and his descendants were to be punished because they were going to be even worse than Ham, servant of servants. Joshua's subjugation of Gibeonites is one of the fulfillments. Noah's prophecy cannot be used to justify the enslavement of blacks, since those cursed were Canaanites who were Caucasians. Give me a minute. It starts right here on the bottom. This is their commentary, Genesis 9:25. Okay, he's going to pass it around so you can read. They're saying that the Canaanites were Europeans. I'm not saying it. That's what they're saying. So now, if they're right, and these are the Bible scholars, they know scholars, can't argue with them. So these Bible scholars are saying that the Canaanites were in fact Caucasians, so we have to follow that line of thinking, and we're going to go with that, right? So now, if that is the case, then Joshua chapter 10, verse 5, therefore the 5 kings of the Amorites are what tribe? Coming out of what family? Canaan. So what race were they? Caucasian. That doesn't mean hate nobody. That's not what we're talking. We're just trying to make sure we understand all of the families. So, because once we understand all the families, then we can understand Africa's relationship to the scriptures. See, we can't determine what our relationship to the scriptures are if we don't understand where everybody came from. You got to know where everybody comes from. If I don't know where everyone comes from, then I can't discover who I really am. And that's part of the problem when you have melting pots. Because melting pots just make it where we're just people. Well, how we get here? Well, slavery and we saw some ships and that's how we got here. Somebody else said, no, brother, we were the Moors. We were here first. Somebody else said, no, brother, we were the Mexicans, the people of the greater Mexico. Somebody else said, no, man, my people was, Blackfoot. Somebody else said, my people were Blackfeet. Somebody else said, no, I was Cherokee. Somebody said, no, I was Mandan. No, I was Iroquois. No, I was Arawak. No, everybody got something, right? Or somebody else said, no, I identify with Yoruba, but no, I'm Ashanti. No, I'm Zulu. No, I'm Mandan. No, I'm Mandinka. No, I'm the Nongala. No, I'm Ashanti. And all this confusion. And not realizing that the reason we overly identify with their interpretation, when they were putting this together, they knew about their tribal names. See, Daniel, I ain't talking about the prophet Daniel, I'm talking about the tribe of Daniel, or the tribe of Dan. Is there an African tribe today called the tribe of Dan? Yeah. The word Maasai, say Maasai. Now add the word for life, Messiah. See, so is there a Messiah tribe in Africa? So all of these tribal names that we already had, somebody used and placed these names in this Bible, knowing that in deep down in the crevice of that DNA, that inside of us, that blood cell, that chromosome, an identification with those sounds. Because what draws us to a thing is the how I perceive or interact with that thing. So if I'm trying to enslave a people mentally, as well as physically, but mentally, I must utilize words that genealogically speaking, they would already identify with. To pull them away from what they already had, to make them, because that's a question I'm always asked. Well, what made us, how do we go from pyramids and ziggurats and brain surgeries and eye surgeries and ear surgeries and heart surgeries and water filtration, all this greatness, to now we just don't nothing? Well, it wasn't something that was done overnight. It was understood that if I can affect how you think, most importantly about yourself and your origin, everything else is easy. If I can get you to disassociate yourself with what you...
Stop thinking like a Hebrew. That's what he's saying. So that's our objective here, is to start back thinking like a Hebrew, thinking like our forefathers.
You really are, everything else is very easy. So now let's get back here. So now we realize here, therefore, verse 5, Joshua 10:5, the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem. So the Amorites were ruling in Jerusalem, right? Who's ruling in Jerusalem today? The same Canaanites. And the Palestinians are nothing but Philistinians. The word Palestine is the word Philistinia, because there was no P in the language. It was an F. Philistinia, but they'll say that's our land. The name Philistinia means a migrant. How are you a migrant saying this is my land? The very term migrant means you migrated in. So who was there? Well, when I go to Palestine today, there's a place called Nablus. Nablus. When I go to Nablus, I find people like this gentleman. Nubian people that are saying, we've been here, but we're no longer in political control. Nablus, Nablus, the city of Nablus. Okay? So now, we learned that. Now let's go to Judges, because we mentioned a lot of things earlier. Judges chapter 1 first. Judges chapter 1. We'll go right to verse 8. Now the children of Judah had fought against Jerusalem, and had taken it, and smitten it with the edge of the sword, and set the city on fire. And afterward, the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites, who, according to Zondervan, are what? Europeans, right? To fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now, the name of Hebron before was Kirjarath, and they slew Shisha and Ahiman and Talmah. You follow? So this, who were they going up against? Canaanites. These Canaanites were ruling in those lands. Now let's go back to Isaiah and see what Akhenaten, or we say Akhenaton, because he was teaching atonement, what they were dealing with. Now we're back in Isaiah 19, verse 18. In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan, and swear to the Lord of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction. Revelations 9:11 calls it the city of Abaddon, destruction. And in that day shall there be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Tamarei. So there was an altar dedicated to the Aten, to the Adonai, and a pillar at the border thereof. What are the pillars called in Africa? You have a monument in D.C. that has a pillar, an obelisk, Tekino we call it. And it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Tamarei, ancient Africa, for they shall cry unto the Lord because of the oppressors. So the African people were being oppressed, and they were crying unto the Lord, their new Pharaoh, who was coming in, Akhenaten, because of the oppressors, and he shall send them a savior and a great one, Yahshua, Akhenaten's son, right, which was raised as a Messiah. The word Messiah is an African word, Messiah, same name. And a great one, and he shall deliver them. And the Lord shall be known in Egypt, and the Egyptians shall know the Lord in that day, and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yea, they shall vow a vow unto the Lord and perform it. Numbers chapter 6 talks about the vow of the Nazarite. Say Nazarite. Say Nazarene. Say Asarian. Say Ansarian. The same word, a watcher. All throughout the Bible, Job is called a watcher. Ezekiel is called a watcher. These were the family line of Asaru, Aset, and Haru, the first angelic trinity. And out of that line, Yahshua and the tribes of Israel, Ishmael, and Midiani comes out of that line. That was us. And we're from Genesis 10 to Genesis 1. When you get to Genesis 11, when they talk about the splitting up of the languages, the confounding of the towers of Babel, that's where the isles come in. And that's why in Genesis it mentions that in all of the coast of the isles. What isles? The isles of the Aegean, because over in Africa we didn't have islands. You follow? Back in Genesis 1, it mentions this river called the Fison and the Gihon and the Tigris and the Euphrates. Well, the Tigris Euphrates runs through ancient Babylon or ancient Sumeria, which is ancient Cushite Babylon, because remember we already established that that land of Shinar, according to the Bible, was established by Nimrod, and Nimrod was the son of Cush, and Cush is Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is in Africa, so Nimrod was an African, so those were African cities. And Fison and Gihon is nothing but the Nile, the white and blue Nile, that runs all the way down through Nubia on down. So that was us, like the Niger River Valley in West Africa. We already existed, and we weren't pagans. The Ashanti to this day blow the 7 ram's horn once a year, which is Revelation. I saw 7 angels standing with trumpets. Every year the Ashanti gather and do that. Our tribes, we had Sabbath. We lit candles. We just weren't doing it the way the Greco-Romans came in, and the so-called Jews of Russia came in with their interpretation. So now we look like we are converted to Christianity when the first Christ was one of us. We look like we've converted to Judaism when the first Messiah was one of us. And Islam, we understand, is an offshoot that comes out of us anyway. Let's continue. Verse 22. And the Lord shall smite Egypt, and he shall smite and heal it. And they shall return even to the Lord, and he shall be entreated of them, and shall heal them. Verse 23. In that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria. What's Assyria? Ashur. Who established that land? Nimrod, one of the 5 cities. Ashur, Nineveh, Calneh. Okay? And the Assyrians shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptians into Assyria, and the Egyptians shall serve with the Assyrians. In that, and I'm talking about the Assyrian, the people of Syria today that look European. It's talking about those blacks that I told you, those Africans living in Iraq and in Iran, the original Africans where we ruled those areas before we were subjugated. You can Google them and read about it. In that day shall Israel be, I want y'all to read this with me, verse 24. In that day shall Israel be with the third, shall Israel be the third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom the Lord of hosts shall bless, saying, blessed be Egypt, my what? The word Egypt wouldn't be there, right? Tamarei, ancient Africa. Blessed be the who? Africans, my people, and the Assyrians, which are your ancient Cushite Babylonians, who are also Africans, the works of my hands, and Israel, mine inheritance. These were all black people. Africa has a relationship in the scriptures. How come we never learned about this? I didn't write this. I'm 39. This is way before me. But it's there. And somebody doesn't want us to identify with it. Now, does King James also add a lot of his own stuff in there? Yeah. But are we living in a day and time of the internet and library access? You can pay $4.99 and join the library in London. You don't got to get on a plane and go to London. You just tell them what you're looking for. They find it. Micro scan. They take the microfiche no longer. They scan it, send you a copy right on your screen. You can read it. Leipzig Museum, $5.99. Germany. You register with their museum and their libraries. So you have access to information. And this information is what's going to help to get us in our right minds so that we don't have to feel, because as a conscious person, I grew up, like I said, I went to Catholic school. And then around age 12, I joined an organization. I was Muslim for many years. Learned that Quran inside out in the Arabic. Inside out in the Arabic. Know the Hebrew, know the Greek. But then I said, well, okay, I got all this Catholic stuff, got the Christian stuff, got that. Now I got all this Muslim stuff, that's in my head. Got all this Hebrew stuff, but I'm born in Africa. Now what the heck? I'm confused. Went back and forth, visit my relatives overseas, and they're more Christian than I've ever. Oh my goodness, man. No, really. You go to Ghana, you go to Liberia, you go to Togo, you go to Benin, you go to Gambia, you go to South Africa, and you will stand in a room, and I always laugh when I say it, but it's amazing. I for the first time, I grew up in America, came here when I was 3, and I was always normally the darkest person in the room. I was used to that. But I went somewhere, and I was light-skinned. It was the funniest thing in the world, I swear, to look around the room, and everybody was purple. And I'm standing there, because my dad's purple. Right? And I wish I was purple, but my mother's not purple, so I didn't come out purple. So I'm standing there going, oh, I'm light skinned, it's all right. But the funny thing is to look up and there's a blonde hair, blue-eyed, big mural, huge, it's gotta be like 15 feet. I said, well, how am I gonna get through to my people? 5,000 in this church. My dad's standing next to me, he's about that big, right? He's standing next to me, and I'm going, and he says to me, Dad, this wife says, you got to come. Went to Ghana, visit relatives there. Went to church, they're speaking tree. And then I didn't learn tree, right? And they told me Jesus. Went to Trinidad, hey, brother, they're talking to Jesus. This guy, Jesus, I can't get away from him. We got to go back and look at this Bible again. Because no matter how you cut it, I don't care how deep you talk, how much you talk about New World Order, Illuminati, Empress Council of Nicaea, our people are in the churches, no matter how you cut it. My grandmother goes to church. Today, my mother's mother goes to church. Tomorrow, she'll be in church in Liberia. Guaranteed. She's not sick, she's going to be in the front row. How do I talk to her? Now I can go, Grandma, all that stuff's not real. That's a white man. Yeah, baby, okay. He needs to be saved. Come on now, how many going through that? Come on, let's be honest. So, is it more important for me to be right when I'm talking to Grandma? Or is it now important for me to figure out how to talk to Grandma in the language that she's going to understand? See, because all of y'all in here, some of you are Christians, some of you Muslims, some of you are not anything anymore, whatever you are, right? No, that happens. There's nothing wrong with that. But as we're talking, we're giving you things you can research. We're giving you quotes. We're giving you words. We're telling you to go online. That you don't argue with. You don't have to agree with it. And I hope that you don't agree with everything we say, because when you don't agree, it makes you more apt to go and look it up. And while you're looking it up to prove it wrong, you end up finding out stuff, come back, tell me something I didn't know. And that's how it develops. That's how it grows. So after traveling, I'm going to take questions in a minute. I realized that, you know what? It's time to go back and look in this Bible and find those books, because there's 40 books. the book of Jeremiah, the book of Edo the seer, the book mentioned in the King James Bible that are not found in the King James Bible. And I said, well, where are they? Some said, well, it's the Dead Sea Scrolls. Then they got that, wherever it is, it's passed around here somewhere. I think you have it back there, where they show you, where they're admitting to you where these books are, how they came. Any of y'all looked at it so far? Oh, they're still coming? Okay, right? Where they're talking about how these books come out of African manuscripts. I said, well, I got to go look at these African manuscripts. And once we start looking at them, I said, well, I got to write this for our people so they can have access to the original books of the Bible and understand why we feel such a connection to divinity, but not realizing that our energy is being oftentimes directed towards the wrong spirit force. Oftentimes it's directed towards the Greek divinity and not towards the ancient African of the Most High Heavenly One. You follow? So that's why we did the original books of the Bible. This is just the first papyrus. There'll be 19, and they will come out hardback as one. Another year and a half, I should be done. If I have any little bit of hair left after that point. But, and when we're doing it, we put with biblical quotes. So everything you're learning, you can find the quotes. So when you're talking to your relatives, they can follow along. Because we have a culture. We should be observing the Shabbat, we call it, Sabbath, but not the way they have taught us. We should be observing, when you say Rosh Hashanah, say Rosh Hashanah. And they spell it R-U-S-H. All right, sometimes they put a double H. And they put an S in here, Rosh Hashanah. But did you know nothing but the observant of Rashun Sana, the observant of the original 8 angelic beings called the Rashunat, which the Greeks called the Ogdad. These were all African rituals. And it was observed in a way that was in line with us as African people. And we just have to reclaim it. Then we don't have to feel unconscious, nor do we have to feel brain dirtied.
Okay. Any comments? Anybody get anything out of that? Hello?
We can hear you. I don't have any questions or comments.
Okay. You get anything out of that, Michelle?
I am taking it all in. I am listening to him, but I see where he keeps talking about Catholic, where he went to Catholic school and going back home to Africa and how they are worshiping JC so much. And you know, he's correct. We have to get back to our culture, you know, but again, we've been, you know, thrown off so much.
Right, like I said this morning, where this information is pertinent at is the fact that we was dealing with the fact that we know that when they was in Alexandria, Egypt, with the library, they was correlating, they was using the Tanakh, the Old Testament, our scriptures, the Israelite scriptures, and they was cross-referencing it with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. But what we didn't know was these other books in the Egyptian libraries that they was using too. That's what a lot of missing elements said. Like I said before about Job, he was talking this morning how Job is coming out of Egyptian books, Egyptian habits.
Right.
You know, and I've been saying that over and over again, how Job is not acting like no Israelite. He not dealing with
right.
You know, he talking more or less like you know, he philosophizing, and then he's not addressing the Lord of Hosts, you know, the way our forefathers did.
Right.
Going on wrong. There was something going on with it. Now we see why. So anyway, he mentioned a book that they're working on.
Yes.
So he said that's gonna be come out in probably at the end of the year, I guess. So yeah. So like I said, The name of the video is Ancient Africans in the Bible. We dealt with part 1 this morning, and what we're dealing with now is part 2. I'm gonna play a little more of this, and then I'm gonna do a little something dealing with some need to know information. Then I'm gonna close out. So let me go over here and do this right here. This is hold on. Yeah. Okay.
Go do oh, you don't know what to do, don't ask me, because I'll find some young men. Remember Donovan and Chris? We don't know what to do. Go become engineers. And they're now engineers. They got their bachelor's, working on their master's. Why? Now, it doesn't matter if you're a part of what we're doing later. I don't care if you decide 10 years after, I don't want to be that no more. You know why I don't care? We still have another Nubian nurse or doctor or engineer or agriculturalist or botanist or architect. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Or a tailor or seamstress. And if you're a seamstress, don't just be, I make clothes at home. Go to the school and get that tag on your name so that when you design, they can't push you away. Does everybody understand what we're saying? That's the real conversation. Yes, Africa's relationship to the scriptures, but that relationship was based off of certain teachings of science. We talked about Jesus healing the man. He was a pharmacist. He understood the chemical composition, or an herbalist at least. That's what we have to do. Every child that you come in contact with, you should put a chip on their shoulder. If I'm coaching baseball or softball, I got white kids on the team. But if you black, I pull you to the side. Explain something to you. I really do. You're black. They don't think you can play this game. And the reason we started coaching, she coaches with us. When we moved down to Florida, we come back from Ghana, moved down to Florida. My oldest two at the time were 9, and they played baseball that year. The oldest one asked the coach, white coach, Scott, said, I want to learn to pitch. And he says to myself, oh, man, pitching is hard. Oh, you're not ready. It's too hard. It's difficult for you to learn. Oh, whoa, wrong bat. Time out. Offsides. I said, don't ever tell him that. I said, because your son is no smarter than him. So if he can learn, okay. Next year, what I said, I'm coaching. And I haven't stopped since. Any child of mine playing on the team, I'm going to be right there. If you ice skating, I don't know how to ice skate, but I'll be the first dad with shoes on, the broom to keep balance. I'm going to be out there with you, because we have to stop our children from looking up to everyone other than us.
Come on.
I remember growing up, the teacher was European, and my coaches were European, and the principal was European, and the manager of the supermarket was European, and the newscaster, and what does that do to the mind? Then you go to church, and it's reinforced even more, because now he's up there, hey, me again. We have to reverse that. So we teach brothers in this room, sisters in this room, get involved in your local little leagues. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer. Volunteer. If for no other reason, if it's 11 kids on that team and there's only one Nubian, that one Nubian has someone they can look up to. And those 11 kids that aren't Nubian, what are they learning? That they can be told what to do by another Nubian. Let me say it again. See, when I'm coaching and I got 13 girls on this team and only 3 are Nubian, those other 10 little white girls are being told what to do by a Nubian. That's very important for them too. Because many of them will grow and think Nubian can't tell me what to do. I don't fix them, and I only focus on fixing my 3. My 3 will still have to contend with those 10. And numbers have their advantage.
So I got to take what he's done to us and reverse it. Become the face. It sounds crazy to some of you, but if you think about what I'm saying, those who don't want to try it, doesn't matter. We'll keep doing what we do. But for those who are hearing what we're saying, the Japanese were bombed back to the Stone Age, true or false? And I'm not talking Hiroshima and Nagasaki only. I'm talking about World War II. They flattened the islands of Japan. So how is it that 50 years later, they were on the G8? They took everything they saw that the West had, told their kids, you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be a scientist, you're going to be a this, you're going to be a that, you're going to be a this. And in 50 years, without a standing military, for all the Nubians who like to say, well, brother, what's going to happen when the white man try to stop you? The Japanese did it without a military. Because they were not allowed, after World War II, to have a sitting or standing military. With no resources, they knew. See, if you can take this year, Little League World Series, the European representative came, not Europe, the not Asian, Saudi Arabia's group. Middle East and Africa, right, MEA, Middle East and Africa. This year and last year, the team from Uganda, living in the slum, they won and was supposed to come and represent, but there's something with their visas, and so Saudi Arabia came. Okay. But the point I'm getting at is, see, when you live in the West long enough, you start to think that everything you learn doesn't have a purpose. You're not important. You follow? Because if I'm living in the West and I have a carpet company, I'm competing with thousands of carpet companies. But if I take that same basic knowledge to any country in the Caribbean, Latin America, Africa, I'm the carpet company. I'm creating jobs. If I'm doing baseball, I don't think I'm important. But if I establish a little league in any Caribbean, Latin America, and African country, not only do I have the minds of the children, like we have a school in the Bahamas, it was opened 2 weeks ago, K through 12, 300 students, and they're learning science and math, and there's a real school uniform, and just like in a Catholic church, except in every wall is this with a black guy on it. And no, go to our website, you'll see we'll put on the link. And we're going to do it in Liberia, we're going to do it in Ghana, we're going to do it in different places as we are able to financially. But the point is, the missionaries were able to invade your land, right? So why not take that same structure and re-invade your land? Do you understand? Some of you understand what I'm saying. Some of you are like, what are you talking about? You don't beat a person by thinking you can do everything opposite to them. The Japanese took baseball, went and set up their own baseball in Japan, and now American professional sports, Major League Baseball, pays millions of dollars to their league to be able to get people, to create Japanese idols. Isn't that strange? When 50, 60 years ago, the Japs, and they were derogatory terms, and everybody in America hated the Japs. Now they're at Seattle cheering Ichiro and cheering Suzuki and cheering. How did these people do that? How did the Indians do it? I don't mean the Native American Indians, I mean the Indians. They were ruled by the British Empire for a long time. And now they got all the technology they're producing. How did the Jewish people do it? And yeah, they killed the Palestinians. I got that part, and I'm not agreeing with what they did as far as that. But how is it that the Jews don't forget the Holocaust? Every time they get a chance, Holocaust. And I love the fact that they do that, because it allows me to keep remembering what we went through. Because if you say, oh, brother, why you got to always talk about it? The day the Jewish people stop talking about the Holocaust is the day I'll start talking about our kidnapping and enslavement and colonization. And I know they're never going to stop, so.
Okay. And that song?
Yes, it is.
Everybody got any comments? Okay.
It starts at home. We can do anything.
And
we're good at everything.
Right. Just got to get get used to it, get familiar.
Yes. Yes.
Is that song?
Yes.
Okay.
That I just want to make a quick comment, Leonard, if you don't mind.
Okay.
When he was talking about sports,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, we are good at
Yeah.
what we do. We are great at what we do.
Okay.
So when our children, an example, my son, you know, when he was playing basketball, you know, he could play every position.
Right.
But the coach want to make him seem like he was not good at
Right.
every position.
Okay.
And exactly what he was saying, you can do anything. You can play any position you want to play. Don't say because he put you at center that that's the only position you can play.
Right.
You know, they want to keep us at a standstill and make us feel like you know, we're only good at this one position. You
Right.
know, yes. And the same thing with track.
Okay.
So, you know, you got to think about that, and it starts at home. You have to let them know that you can do anything that you want to do.
Right. Yeah. That's what adults come in at. Like he was saying,
Yes.
adults got to be there. If you don't do nothing but volunteer, because that'll stop some of the misuse and abuse of the black kids right there. Because there's somebody there that look like them standing there.
Right, right.
Limit.
Instead of them listening to the others saying, "Oh, like he said, that position is hard."
Right.
Okay. And
Right. Because all he doing is making room for his buddies, the kids, and his son.
right,
Why he
right,
don't. That's why he trying to just discourage them, and that's like I said, that's been happening since we've been here. Even after slavery was over with, the black man ain't there. Then they got us all off doing some more stuff, and the kids getting there sitting there looking at them, and because we are obedient people, we sitting there trying to thinking we getting a fat shake, but being manipulated the whole time.
that's so
That's why
true.
you need other adults, other black adults need to be there.
Around someone else they can look up to.
Even if you
Hmm.
ain't be coaching, you got to be at the game or something. Be standing there, because
Right,
because I know they ain't gonna fit talk to mine or any kind of way. They already know that.
right.
You're going down like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So I got one more thing. I've been dealing with this about the great substance because everybody keep talking about what's the deal with the great substance. So they want to know how we gonna get the great substance and all that. And lo and behold, I was listening to something today. I had YouTube on, but I was doing something else, and they was in Zechariah, right? And so everybody on this line already know about the army. The purpose of the army is that's who our deliverance is gonna be. That's in uh that's in Ezekiel chapter 37, the army. We're gonna raise the army up. But what I hadn't connected the dots, and this is one of the ways how the Most High works. So let me read this, and we're gonna see if this is our okay. He spoiled the Egyptians when we left Israel. When we left Egypt, we spoiled the Egyptians. And what he mean by that? He caused the Egyptians to bring out all their gold and all they precious metals, and they started giving it to the Israelites. So they ended up spoiling them. And that's one of the reasons why Pharaoh ended up in behind them, because he looked up and they had, the Israelites was gone, and then the Israelites took their herds and their cattle and all them with them, and they had spoiled them of all their precious metals and stuff. So the Pharaoh thought about it long, and then he got Nefertiti over there, Nefertiti over in his eye, in his ear, embarrassing him. So he ended up in behind the Israelites to try to get them back. So anyway, with that same understanding, we right here. This where our reparations coming in at. And I was like, wow, it's crazy. I was sitting there listening to that. I'm gonna go to chapter 12 first. Give you a friendly reminder. So he says the future deliverance of Jerusalem. And you gotta understand Zechariah came back from Babylon, with Zerubbabel, him and Haggai. So these prophets prophesying to us because the Babylonian captivity over with, and they came back with him. So with the Most High always dealing with a prophet, and he's prophesying events that's coming in the future. He ain't talking about nothing back in the past. So Zechariah is talking to us. So he says, chapter 12, the burden of the word of the Lord, verse 1. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, says the Lord, who stretcheth forth the heavens, layeth the foundation of the earth, formeth the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all people round about, when they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people, and all that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered against it. Right. So we know from verse 4 it says, in that day saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness, and I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and I will smite every horse of the people with blindness, and the kings of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, in the Lord of hosts their God. So how you connect this with Ezekiel 37 is all these kings in Judah is already passed. We in Zechariah. So first and second kings already been passed. All these kings supposed to be dead, but we know that he resurrect them. That's why verse 5 is saying, the kings of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, the Lord of hosts, because he done resurrected them like he promised. So anyway, when you understand that, it goes down to verse 7, and it says, the Lord also shall say the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the house of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. And the house of David, these are all the kings, the first and second king, and the house of David, in the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. That's how you're going to resurrect them. Just the army, these are the deliverers that's going to deliver us. We're going to crush all our enemies and our oppressors. So now we're going to go to verse chapter 14, and we're going to look at the substance, the great substance that is mentioned in Genesis chapter 15. It says, I'm going to start at verse 1. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoils shall be divided in the midst of thee. You go to reparations right here. You go to the great substance. And thy spoils shall, remember, it's an army that's going to come. Let me read it again. Give you a second witness before I read this. Second witness over here. I say, wow, I was doing something else and heard this. So, let me Joel. Let me get Joel right quick. So what we looking at is this army gonna beat the reparations out of the Gentiles and out of our enemies. He says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all inhabitants of the land tremble. Why? For the day of the Lord is come, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness, of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even the years of many generations. Just their army. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on top of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devour the stubble, as the strong people set in battle array. This the army. Before their faces the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men, and they shall climb the walls like men of war, and they shall march every one on his way, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, and they shall run upon the walls, and they shall climb up upon the horses, and they shall enter in at the windows like a thief. So this army, and we see what they're capable of doing right here, right? So we're gonna go back to Zechariah right quick and close out. So now I'm in Zechariah chapter 14. It says, change to the same army I just read in Ezekiel 37 and in Zechariah chapter 12 and Joel chapter 2. And now I'm in Zechariah chapter 14. Behold, we trying to find the great substance. Behold, there the Lord cometh, and the spoil shall be divided in the midst of them. We go to great substance. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth, fight against these nations, and when he fight in the day of the battle, and his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall be removed toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. That's the army. Ezekiel 37. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night. But it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In the summer and in the winter shall it be. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one, and that's the Lord of hosts. And all the land shall be turned as the plains from Geba to Ramah, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hanal unto the king's wine presses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Look at this. So what you have to understand about an army is these soldiers, they've been all over the place, ravaging all different type of countries, just like when Babylon came. So they got gold and silver bags all on them. They got spoils on them. So they spoiled all these countries. That's what an army do. So he brought all these nations up against Jerusalem, right? Same way he did the Pharaoh. We drowned them in the Red Sea. So 13 says, it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold everyone on the hands of his neighbor. See that? This ain't nothing new. He did this to the Syrian army, right? And when he helped Hezekiah, he says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold everyone on the hand of his neighbor, right? And his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. Let me get this right here. Okay, it says his neighbor. 14. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem. Check on Judah. We just read that over there in chapter 12 of Zechariah. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem. And the wealth, he go to the great substance. The wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together. Gold. That's what our Most High deal with. He deal with precious metals, gold, silver, and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horses, of the mules, and the camels, and the ass, and all the beasts that shall be in these tents, as this plague. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacles. See that? So we see right here, the great substance is in when he spoiled these nations. He's going to bring all of them there with all their spoils to knock them off, cause them to kill each other, and then Israel go out and get the spoil. Israel go out and check all them pockets. The thing about it is, this ain't nothing new. Like I said, they did it with Hezekiah. Let me read that right quick. You don't close. Okay. Hezekiah right quick. Okay. Okay, it says says this in chapter 19, 2 Kings, and had the Assyrian army Sennacherib and came up against Jerusalem, and they got it surrounded. They got Israel surrounded. So it says, and Hezekiah received the letter at the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hezekiah went up in the house of the Lord and spread it before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed before the Lord and said, O Lord, God of Israel, which dwelleth between the cherubim, thou art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. Lord, bow down thine ear and hear. Open, Lord, thine eyes and see, and hear the words Sennacherib, which have sent him to reproach the living God. Of truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have destroyed nations in their lands. Right. So, like I said, they didn't, before they got to Jerusalem, they didn't destroyed all these nations. All these soldiers got all kind of riches on them, stacked in bags on their horses. They got it everywhere in their tents. They got innumerable wealth on them. So, same thing in Ezekiel 38. It's an army that's coming up against Israel. So we see right here, then it says in verse 26 of 2 Kings 19, therefore their inhabitants were a small power. They were dismayed and comforted. They were as grass of the field and as green herb and grass on the hilltops, and the corn blasted before it's grown up. But I know thy bald and thy going out and thy coming in and thy rage against me, because thy rage against me and thy tumult is come up in mine ears. Therefore will I put my hooks in thy nose and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back by the way which thou comest. So this is the same thing he said to the army in Ezekiel 38. He telling the same thing to the army, the Syrian army. And this shall be the sign unto thee. Ye shall eat this year such things that grow of themselves. And in the second year that which springeth from the same. And in the third year sow ye and reap and plant vineyards and eat the fruit. And the remnant that is escaped of the house of Judah shall yet again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem shall go forth a remnant, and they that escape out of Mount Zion, the zeal of the Lord hosts shall do this. Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city, nor shoot any arrows thereof, nor come before it with a shield, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, by the same way he shall return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. And I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake and for my servant David's sake. And it came to pass that night, look at this, it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and smote in the camp of the Syrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, come on, behold, they were all dead corpses. There ain't nothing new under the sun. Now watch this. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt in Nineveh. And it came to pass, as he was worshiping in the house of Necro, his god, and Adramelech, and that Adramelech and Shinar, his son, smote him, right, with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia, and Ashkelon, his son, arranged in his stead. So it's nothing new under the sun. So we brought all them people there. He's bringing all these armies from Ezekiel 38 to spoil them. That's how we get our great substance. All we gotta do is go out there and check their pockets. And it ain't nothing new under the sun. He did that with the Egyptians. They spoiled the Babylonians. Ain't no $100 bills. The Most High don't deal with $100 bills.
Right.
He deal with precious metals. Come on. Is that something? He just turned the whole mountain into gold, right?
Yes, he did.
He ain't turned it to $100 bills.
Nope.
Okay. So yeah. So I thought I'd put that in there. So got anybody got any questions or anything coming before we go? Okay. Let me hit you with this line and we're gonna get out of here. So you can read that Ancient Africans part 3. I think it's like 40 minutes. We're gonna deal with that on Monday to close out this little 3-part series.
Okay.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.